shit, yeah, they bread stank. Walk up in the club, dripping like I'm fresh paint. I can see through the facade like an...
What's going on, fight fans? It's another great day when you love MMA. Welcome back to Mad Matty Fight Talk, here with Crazy Chris, as we get ready for one of the biggest, most anticipated middleweight fights in the world to date. UFC 281. It's going down November 12th at the Madison Square Garden, and we're going to have champion versus challenger Izzy Adesanya taking on Alex Pereira. And there's another championship fight involved in this card. It's going to be between Carla Esparza and the former champion Zhang Weili. This is another big stacked fight card, but we're going to hop right on into the main event. You got Izzy Adesanya taking on Alex Pereira. Do you think that Alex Pereira is deserving of this title shot, Crazy Chris?
Absolutely. I think it's not as crazy as Brock Lesnar coming in and getting a title shot after one fight, or Izzy Adesanya himself. He came through. He had a couple of slumpy fights, and they gave him Robert Whitaker, off of a win over Kevin Gastelum.
So he definitely earned that. So,
but he got a title shot after fighting Brunson, and that wasn't when Brunson, was going through a wave of ups and downs. So for me, I think Alex Pereira, just knowing their history, the UFC made a smart move. He's somebody who's beaten Adesanya in kickboxing 2 times in world-class fights. I think this is a great fight. And if you look at Pereira, he's been on an absolute tear. So at 35 years old, I would hate to see this fight get pushed off any longer. Absolutely is the best time right now to put these guys together.
Now, one, kudos to the UFC. I do give them credit for building this story, riding that hype train. And 2, credit to Alex Pereira for backing up his end of things, because you can't have a storyline if you're not winning fights. And they've given him some decent opponents. Now, I thought Sean Strickland shot himself in the foot by taking Alex Pereira on. Pereira ended up knocking him out in the first round, which to me, I don't think that's the craziest thing in the world. I could see that happening, because if Izzy Adesanya fought Strickland, I think it would have been very close to 1 or 2 rounds, and that's it. So Strickland was getting knocked out either way, whoever he fought next. Now, statistically, Izzy Adesanya is potentially, if he's not yet, he will be the greatest middleweight fighter ever in UFC history. He's 23-1. His only loss as an MMA fighter comes at the light heavyweight division. Alex Pereira is 6-1 with 5 KOs and only 1 decision as far as MMA goes, and he has been submitted 1 time. Luckily for him, this looks like it's going to be a stand-up fight. And just for the record here, he has a 33-7 kickboxing record with 21 KOs, which is where I think this fight is going to take place. I do not see either of these guys wanting to take this fight to the ground, although that would be smart for Izzy Adesanya. But what do you think about game plan wise?
I think game plan. Look, I'm not a big fan of Adesanya right now. He keeps saying, "Oh, you're the challenger. You have to fight me and push my limits." Well, guess what, buddy? You're gonna fight somebody for the first time in a long time that's gonna push your limits. And look at what happened when he fought Kevin Gastelum. Kevin Gastelum, for as small as he is in that weight class, put him on skates multiple times, because he was not backing down from the stand-up. He wasn't intimidated from getting hurt. He knew, if I pressure him and pressure him and pressure him, I will have my own strikes land, and I will have some type of success on the feet. Now, you're talking about a guy who's 6'3", 185 with a 79-inch reach. Adesanya is 6'3", 185 with an 80-inch reach. He's fighting a mirror image of himself. He's not fighting somebody that is out of the realm of touching him and punching him up from the outside. So my point of view, I really, really hope, Izzy Adesanya is prepared to have a stand-up war. He keeps talking about how he's the greatest. Things that make me frustrated with him are what's coming out of his mouth. Oh, I'm gonna make you frozen like Elsa, and things like that. Well, then you have a fight with him and Jared Cannonier, and he didn't do absolutely ass.
His trash talking is probably literally at the worst it's ever been. But here, real quick.
My point is that Adesanya is going to fight. Long story short, Adesanya is going to fight a guy in Alex Pereira who's not going to back down. He's not going to wait for the competition to come to him. He's expecting to go in there and push Adesanya to his absolute limits. And for anybody who doesn't know where Alex Pereira is from, he's from an actual tribe that's still stationed in Brazil outside of the main cities. This man they call him Hands of Stone, because he absolutely shows it every time he fights. So what I'm hoping is Alex goes in there and pressures Adesanya into a war.
Listen, he's going to do that, but you have to remember all the big time strikers that Israel. Look, Izzy Adesanya defensively is the most He is the best defensive fighter, whether we like that or not, whether his fights are boring or not. He is the champion, and you don't want to, you got to think long-term wise. He doesn't want to give up that money. But the last time they put an extremely dangerous striker who maybe not the same size as Alex Pereira, but was undefeated, knocking everybody out, doing dangerous, massive things, Paulo Costa, and he annihilated him. Robert Whittaker, the first fight. Robert wasn't going to grapple him the first fight. It was a stand-up striking war, and he knocked Robert Whittaker out.
But what happened to Adesanya in the second fight with Whittaker? Arguably, it could have been a draw. Arguably, that fight could have been a draw.
I thought Whittaker won the second fight, but like I said, the first time they fought is when Whittaker was knocking people out. Because Alex Pereira is not going to come in there and wrestle.
Whittaker has a karate-based style. You're talking about a multi-time world champion kickboxer. He does not fight like Robert Whittaker. He's going to be very, very patient on the feet, and when he strikes, he's going to strike to hurt. The difference with Robert Whittaker is he's a very good MMA fighter. He touches, and then he tries to set something up. But against somebody longer, lankier, and has great kickboxing like Adesanya, it's a lot harder of a task. But that second fight showed that even somebody like Robert Whittaker can break those boundaries when Adesanya, to be honest, Adesanya hasn't proven anything. He hasn't showed any growth. He hasn't shown anything in these last couple fights. It showed that he can outstrike somebody from the outside. Great. He can dance around for 5 rounds. That's fine. But if you're gonna say what you're saying and you're gonna try to compare yourself to Anderson Silva was putting guys, starching them out cold. Even at
they're not the same guy.
He put a big Forrest Griffin at 205 out sleeping with a jab. So Adesanya comparing himself to what, being better than Anderson Silva in his prime, absolutely horseshit. My opinion is Alex Pereira goes in there.
Yeah. Give me your prediction. Let's get the prediction from you.
All right, my prediction is Alex Pereira by KO.
I'm gonna take Israel Adesanya by a 5-round decision because he's had so many 5-round fights and title fights, and the experience is going to come into factor, and he's so sound defensively. I think Pereira's going to try and headhunt him, and he's going to get gassed out, and that's when Israel Adesanya is going to take over.
Okay, so let me explain why I think he's going to knock him out, and I'm not going to pick around. I'm not Mystic Mac, but what I will say is Adesanya has been so stationary these last few fights, so comfortable with just sitting back and letting these guys get intimidated. Dude, you're going to fight somebody who's not scared of you, the same size, and arguably knocked you out unconscious the last time you guys saw each other. Right. So in my opinion, the way Alex Pereira looked against Sean Strickland, a surging strong Sean Strickland on an 8-fight winning streak, knocked him out cold, shows you the level difference right there. So I'm going to go with Alex Pereira by knockout, and I'm going to say it gets done within 4 rounds.
Yep, I got Israel Adesanya winning by 5-round decision because I feel like that's going to be a tough fight. And who knows? We'll see what happens. I think Izzy's going to win regardless.
All right, guys. So we're going to drop down to the co-main event that night. It's going to be in the women's strawweight division. We got Carla Esparza, fresh off her championship victory, facing former champion Weili Zhang, coming back on the win streak, trying to recapture her title. Now, Matt, my question to you, how did you feel Carla's performance against Rose? What kind of story is that going to tell us against Weili? Or is it going to tell us anything?
Well, I for one, am not a Carla Esparza hater. I actually like the way this girl fights. The only time I've seen her really get exposed is when she fought Joanna. She did what she had to do against Rose Namajunas. Rose is dangerous. Rose needed to take the title. Carla fought smart. She was waiting for her to press, and, that fight was boring, but she did what she needed to do to win. It's neither here nor there. Carla has 4 KOs and 4 submissions. She's 20-6, and she is the current champion. Now, Weili is a lot bigger than her. She's 5'4", Carla's 5'1", but Carla's on a 6-fight win streak, and Zhang Weili is going to put the pressure on her, so she's going to force her to fight this fight. The question is, what is Weili's game plan? Is she going to try and stand and bang with Carla? Because that, to me, would be the best bet. If she starts getting too crazy and gives Carla a chance to get this to the ground, I see that being dangerous because her wrestling is on point. And we all saw that fight with Mackenzie Dern and Zhao Yan. I don't even know her name. The other
Yan.
Yeah, Carla destroyed that girl. So that shows you what level her grappling's on. So Weili is going to have her hands full in this fight. Weili's 22-3, 11 KO, 7 submissions. 4 of her 8 UFC fights are for the belt. So Weili's coming to the UFC, and all she has done is take title fights. She is one of the most dangerous fighters in that division. She's a dark horse, but her only 2 losses are to Rose Namajunas. So this is it's a weird fight. Stylistically, it's very interesting. I mean, what do you think about it?
Yeah, I couldn't agree more with you. I'm not going to write Carla Esparza off, although I do think it's a tough challenger ahead of her. I mean, Weili Zhang has 22-3. She's beat you on it twice. She had 2 tough fights against Rose Namajunas. Well, the first one was a quick flash KO, but the second one showed that she's gritty. She's ready to get down. Now, the story I got from Carla Esparza versus Rose Namajunas is simple. She's going to play it. She's a veteran of the game. She's going to play it smart. She noticed that Rose wasn't pressuring, so she didn't pressure. She let the fight play out the way she wanted to. Now, we all know Weili's going to come in there very, very aggressive. Is that her downfall? Does she get taken down off of reckless striking? Does she get stumbled by the pace that Carla's going to put on her? Which, I mean, by pace, I mean Carla's known to slow the fight down, not speed the fight up, right? So I hate to say this, but I'm gonna take Carla Esparza. Honestly, I think Carla Esparza is gonna edge this fight out. I think she's gonna grind her way to another decision victory, and I think she can get she has the tools. Look, this is the way I gotta look at it. She has the tools in the tool bag. If she comes to work and doesn't use them, that's gonna be up to her.
Look,
but Carla, the camp she has. She's very educated.
Let me just stop you right there. Zhang Weili is gonna run right through this girl. I like Carla Esparza. I'm a fan of hers. But in this fight, this is a terrible matchup when you got Zhang Weili, who's already been the champion. She's definitely got the fire. She's huge for that division. She's going to run right through her. Significant strike-wise, Carla Esparza is throwing 2.2, where Weili's throwing 5.78. Now we go to takedowns, where that's Carla's world. She gets 3 per 15 minutes. Weili gets 2.09. But Esparza's takedown defense is 47%. If Weili wants to knock her out, she can do it. If she wants to body slam her and beat her ass on the ground, she probably can do that as well. So I got Zhang Weili winning by a 3rd round finish, ground and pound. I see this fight. She's going to pick her apart standing up. Carla's going to try and shoot for dear life, maybe turn it into somewhat of a fight on the ground. She's a tough girl, so she's going to last, and then she's going to get fucking finished. Weili's definitely winning this fight. That's how I see this playing out.
I just, I can't picture Weili going in there and having – unless she cracks her with a solid punch, but in the strawweight division, it's so hard for these girls to put each other out. I think that Carla has very good cardio, man. I don't know if she's going to get ran over that way.
The difference between Weili and Rose Namajunas is Weili's is training with Cejudo. She's going to put her foot on the gas from the first round. We saw that in her second Ioana fight. This girl does not fuck around. Her jiu-jitsu's better. Her wrestling's better. Everything is getting better and better and better. I'm not saying Carla Esparza is not getting better, but she isn't getting the training and the tough test that that Weili gets.
Let's be real. Carla's on the lower climb of her career. She's ready to walk away, but I think that age doesn't play a factor here. I think that skill set will. I think that she has a great chance of winning. I'm going to take Carla Esparza by unanimous decision. I think it's close on paper, but I think she takes all the judges.
Fair enough. And I could see that happening, and I'm going to go for Weili, 3rd round finish. And then moving down, which in a fight that could have been its own main event, this is crazy. You got
People's main event on this card, right?
This is definitely going to be one of those fights you want to tune in for. Number 2, Dustin Poirier taking on number 5, Iron Mike Chandler. You got 28-7 Poirier taking on 23-7 Chandler. 15 KOs, 6 submissions for Poirier. And then you got 11 KOs, 7 submissions for Chandler, the Bellator legend versus the UFC fucking grinder. Poirier's a beast. Chandler's a beast. How do you see this fight playing out?
Man, I hate to say this because I love both of these guys.
Wait, real quick. I forgot to say this because these guys are so statistically even. It's fucking crazy. Poirier's 11-3 and 1 no contest in his last 15 fights. And then Michael Chandler's 11-4 in his last 15. This shit is insane. This is like the perfect matchup at this point in their career. But go ahead.
Yeah, no, I think, look, I love both of these guys. I've been watching both of them for a very long time. I remember watching Eddie Alvarez lose to Michael Chandler in Bellator. That's how old I am, guys. I remember watching that live on television. Look, Dustin, the Diamond Poirier comes with grittiness. He's coming off of fresh knockouts over, Connor. He had lost it to Charles Oliveira in his, second title bout. But that doesn't take away the fact that this guy's an absolute dog. Now, Michael Chandler, I mean, if you want to put it, this guy is literally what every fighter wants to be, right? Built strong, built tough, got explosive.
He's definitely what every fighter wants to look like.
Well, I mean, this guy's a chess player on when he walks into the cage, you don't even understand. He's playing chess with you. He's bouncing in and out. How he set up Hooker, right? The way he got that knockout was he went low, thought it was a shot, came up with a left hook. Now, that's the type of skill set that we're getting from Michael Chandler. We saw against Gaethje, there's also the dog in Michael Chandler that will throw the game plan out of the way. So this is the thing, guys. I'm taking Michael Chandler. I think it's going to be an absolute war. I take Michael Chandler by a third-round decision. I think it goes all the way. But I do not see either of these guys coming out with fresh faces. I see both of these guys scars, lumps, bruises. But I think Michael Chandler edges it because of his wrestling ability and the ability to take him down at will.
Statistically, these guys are extremely evenly matched all across the board. I'm not even going to go over that. If you guys want to go do that, you can do your own research. They're statistically extremely evenly matched, record-wise, all that shit, right? The problem for Dustin Poirier in this fight is it's a 3-round fight and not a 5-round fight. Dustin Poirier has been in a lot of 5-round fights. He's trained his mind for 5-round fights. He's been through a lot of wars, and he's been hurt. He's showed toughness. He's beaten Max Holloway. He's beaten Dan Hooker and all these crazy wars. Michael Chandler showed against a banger like Justin Gaethje and against a guy like Charles Oliveira and all these other guys that he can get in there and he can knock these people down. He can knock them out. He can inflict some serious damage. I got Michael Chandler winning this fight by a 3rd-round KO, 2nd or 3rd-round KO. Look, the guy has heavy hands. He's folded almost everybody he's touched in the UFC for sure. He's knocked out, Ferguson. I'm pretty sure he caught Gaethje, didn't really drop him. Dropped Charles Oliveira, knocked out Dan Hooker.
He made Gaethje do the stanky leg, boy. I tell you what,
that's what I'm saying.
Like, I've seen in a long time.
I think Poirier is really underestimating how hard Chandler can hit, and Dustin Poirier is a fucking beast, and I can understand why. But to keep it simple, I got Chandler winning this fight. It's so evenly matched. These guys are gonna go to war. Poirier's a beast. I wouldn't doubt if he pulls off a win, but I think Chandler's going to sleep
I think
him.
A big part of why I'm pulling for Michael is he's just been the fresher fighter as far as how many fights in how many years. Whereas Dustin's coming on to I beat up Connor twice. I want some big paydays. He got the Charles Oliveira fight. And look, man, he put Charles on skates a couple times, but Charles a dog, and that ground game is a different level. Habib, the ground game, a different level. I put Michael Chandler in there because simple fact is Charles Oliveira could not tap out Michael Chandler. Shows how amazing his ground is. Like, if you guys do not like Michael Chandler, you cannot take that away from him. All right. So I'm going to take Michael Chandler 3-round decision. I agree with you. I don't think the 3 rounds plays into Dustin. I think it plays into Michael, and I think he's going to edge him on the wrestling.
So next on the fight card, we got number 14 Dan Hooker and Claudio Puelles. Look, this fight, Dan Hooker's a veteran of the sport. He's a ranked guy somehow. I don't understand how. He's 1-4 in his last 5. His last 3 losses are all by 1st-round KO. That says a lot. Claudio, on the other hand, is 13-2, 2 KO, 7 submissions, and has 4 subs by knee bar. He knee barred fucking Clay Guida. I don't know what your decision is on this, but I'm going to keep it really simple here. Dan Hooker, no matter what happens in this fight, is getting tapped out. Claudio is getting set up to be skyrocketed. He's from Peru. They know Dan Hooker has a big name in New Zealand. They're going to swap places here, and Claudio's definitely climbing up the rankings. I feel bad because they keep setting Dan Hooker up. I like that guy, but he is well past his prime.
Yeah, this isn't the Dan Hooker that came in and gave people knees to the face to put him on code if they were trying to shoot in on him. This is a Dan Hooker who's 1-4 in his last 5. He looked good against a young kid in Nasperat, but Nasperat was also coming off of a knee injury. The thing about Claudio that's very scary is he's extremely sharp. His cardio is amazing. And if he gets you to the ground, he's going to rip your leg off. So I'm going to keep it very simple. Sorry, Dan Hooker. I'm going to take Claudio 1st-round submission.
Look, if you lose your last, and these are tough guys, but you lose your last 4 fights or 3 fights by 1st round, I just don't have faith in you anymore. This is a guy who knocked out Gilbert Burns, but I just don't see it happening.
Claudio has the same ability to take him down just like Islam did and put him away. And that's why
I think that's going to happen. Yes.
And I think it's going to happen too. All right, guys. We're going to drop that back down into the lightweight division. Man, we got lightweight to end this card up. So we're going to go back and one of my favorite fighters, guys, Brad Riddell versus Renato Moicano from Brazil. Who do you have in this lightweight matchup, Matt?
This is an interesting fight because the last time we saw Moicano, he got called on short notice to fight RDA, which I wish he would have had more time to prepare for, because right before that, he was coming off a very, very dominant win over Alexander Hernandez. So Renato's fought a lot of tough guys. He's 3-2 in his last 5. He has wins over guys like Calvin Kattar, Cub Swanson, Jeremy Stevens. Brad's really good from what I hear, but from what I've seen and his resume, I'm not too impressed. And judging off the fact that Jalen Turner absolutely handled him in his last fight, I think Moicano presents a lot of problems for him, especially if this fight goes to the ground. I'm definitely going with Moicano in this fight. I see him finishing this fight. If it stays standing, Brad definitely has the tools to get the job done. But I see Renato getting it done.
Look, Brad Riddell used to be at Tiger Muay Thai in Thailand. He used to be their Muay Thai coach. Rafael Faeza has taken that job, and we saw their fight, right? Rafael is no joke. That guy is a surging star. He's absolute monster. There's no shame in losing to him or Jalen Turner. Jalen Turner is an absolute beast of a man for that weight division. He towers over absolutely everybody. So if you're going to give me Brad Riddell's 5'6" and fights at 155. This guy's not a big dude for the weight class, all right? He's just extremely tough. On the other hand, we have Renato Moicano, who's extremely tough, veteran of the game, standing at a towering 5'9", but surprisingly only has a 1-inch reach advantage. Look, I agree with you. RDA, he showed us how tough he was, and previous fights against Hernandez really impressed me. Shows that he can really get himself onto a good spot if he has a great training camp. This is where I have a problem with Renato, okay? I do not think he has the same striking ability that Brad does. When Renato was fighting RDA was still the shorter fighter at 5'8", and it looked like Renato was not the bigger fighter. It looked like he was getting bullied. I know that's a short notice fight, all this stuff. I'm going to take Brad Riddell. I think Brad Riddell, with his Muay Thai experience, and I think Renato's gonna welcome the stand-up. I see what Rafael Faeza had did to Renato with that left hook straight.
Rafael
Fiziev. I'm sorry, Fiziev. I'm sorry, bro, these names, dude. But I saw what Fiziev had done to Renato with the straight, left hook straight right and put him away. I think Brad can honestly do the same thing if he sticks to his Muay Thai standing up the way he is, really has a solid camp, has a solid game plan. I see him not only winning, but putting away Renato.
Look, Brad needs to keep the fight standing because Moicano's been knocked out 3 times. That is 3 of his losses. That's his standing up. He's definitely gotten a lot better. He's fine-tuning that because he's a grappler. Now, judging off the fact that Brad has been strangled in the first round by submission, which Renato is a fucking beast at, Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu, 9 submission victories. He needs to keep the fight standing at absolutely all costs. Because if this fight touches the ground, I'm telling you, Moicano's going to strangle that man. So I got Moicano winning by probably a second round submission.
That's a great, again, this one is a toss-up for me because these guys are so tough and they've fought really high competition these last couple of fights. Both of them has not, they both haven't had easy paths on their UFC career. It wasn't like they were just getting bum after bum after bum. These guys have fought tough guy after tough guy after tough guy. Honestly, I like Brad. I like his camp. I like Renato, but I think if they stand up, which Renato has been willing to stand up with people more of recent for whatever reason, I don't see him shooting in, taking him down, or clinching him and taking him down and getting that submission in the first. And if he does not do that, I think it's a long night for Mr. Moicano, and I think Brad Riddell can get the job done via KO.
Yeah, Brad's probably has decent wrestling because he has a win over Drew Dober. But here's the thing about Moicano is that he's a lot like Charles Oliveira. He's not going to take you down. He's going to slip under your punch, take your back, and it's fucking over. So we'll see what happens. Regardless, guys, this is a stacked fight card. UFC 281 going down November 12th, Madison Square Garden Arena. Lock in the date. Don't forget to hit the bell icon to be notified when we drop more content. Hit us in the comments. We love to hear what you guys have to say about these fights. And yeah, man, we'll see you guys on the next one.
Haters talking shit, yeah, they breath stank. Walk up in the club, dripping like I'm fresh paint. I can see through the facade like an